Yes, before going, the big news of today is, of course, that showing you Sofia a little bit for the ones who are not yet there on the big inauguration event. But before getting there, we first want to show you a few numbers about VSC. It's always good to do that from time to time. And some other highlights we will also touch upon things that have been happening the past years. Now, 2025, it's a nice round number, so we thought let's look back for 5 years to see where we are, how we evolved a little bit on our user base. And just one small reminder, VSC was actually started, I don't know if you know, officially around 2009, so that's already quite some while ago. But looking at the last 5 years, we see that our number of users is really rapidly keeping on increasing. The graph shows usage at different levels, so the one below is a graph that we see the number of users that we have on the system on a daily basis, and this is really very flexible, of course. There are a lot less people working on in the weekend than on the week, than during the weekdays. But still, a few years ago in 2020, we were more like around 300-400. Now we see on a daily basis, and this is over all systems, over our tier 1 not only, but also all the tier 2 systems. We are now already approaching between 500 and 900 people. Looking at this more on a monthly basis, how much unique different users that we have. There are still nice ups and downs there. It's not hard to imagine that the downs are July and August most of the time, then actually less people are using it. But on average, we are really getting to 2,000 users and unique users per month, and the last months we're going to 2,900 users. And if you look yearly from 2000 for around a good 1,000 users in 5 years ago, we are now last year we were already on 5,600, so we will be going over that this year. Why is this number so increasing? There are more students there as well, so it's not that we are using for that as much, our user group is really expanding. Is this really important? I think yes, so it's really important, because we can now say that actually students, master students also, who stop their study, not doing any of research anymore, a lot of them will already have been in touch with a HPC system. Or even it's only a small workload they have done, they hopefully already are more and more understanding the concepts. So I think that's the biggest importance of this graph, that the broadness of the user group is really increasing, and this will have hopefully also effect when we see on uptake in usage in industry. Whether this in the future will be AI or HPC related, I think the more people that we have that were in touch with HPC, the more we see it growing to the broader community. Focusing on tier 1 compute, the number of proposals that we are getting the last years, it's been nicely increasing the last years, but it's not massively increasing. What we do see, of course, the last 3 years, an increase of proposals related with usage of GPUs, whether it's GPU only or mixed GPU and CPU usage. But while this number of proposals is likewise, let's say about doubled almost, or 50% more, we do see the number of actually allocated and requested core hours, that's really going up very high. And this, of course, with when Hortense came into life, we had a lot more compute hours to give, and actually they are being used very well. Also, GPU hours, we see a nice increase. Over the last years, we see it's a little bit topping off a little bit on what's allocated. That's because just we are about at the maximum that we can give at this moment. So GPU resources are more limited, but no problem, there is tier 0 of course. Looking at the usage within the calls, we see that overall, sometimes there are some, the total amount of compute time allocated over different projects, how much is used, both for CPU and GPU hours. Normally, realistically, we're averaging around 80%. Yeah, the last 2 calls are still open, so they are still busy computing. So, that's good, can always be better. So if you're a tier 1 user and sometimes we ask you, how is it you're not working with your project yet? That's because we want to keep these numbers in check. Of course, there are academics here, but tier 1 is not only about academics, we also have industry users there. Last year we had about 21 exploratory grants, that's our companies that's just trying out the system. Of those which 8 really got over to a regular grant, so planning to use the system more. That makes that there were some continuations also, companies that kept on using, and in total we have about 41 active regular grants there. Not all those companies are active as well. We still want to see, and I think the RDE team is doing great efforts there to get them on board. Some use a lot, some less, but actually it's an important part of things that we provide as VSC, and I think we made over the last years a very nice progress there. Tier 1 data. Operational since around 2023. We see the number of projects are coming in more and more. The number of used storage, at the moment we are over 5 petabytes, but a project typically on tier 1 data is allocated for a longer time, and speaking of 3-4 years. In total we already have allocated about 12 petabytes, so this still will keep on growing, and we really want to see their project, but we really want to see there coming new projects. It will not be like compute projects, of course, but their groups keep on coming back and back and back. Here, groups come and stay longer before they come back, of course. But the number of storage that we are using, for sure, will increase in the future. Also for our tier 1 cloud instance, there are quite a number of projects. I think the number of VMs that actually hosted and are being used has also had a nice increase the last 5 years. We do see also the project proposals. They are all typically also staying longer than a compute project proposal. And here, the tools that are actually mentioned in the proposals, there is a wide variety of operating systems over Ubuntu, but even Windows is also possible, and there are some instances as well. As different orchestrators that are being used, different databases that are being referred to in the proposals to actually have running on the VSC cloud. Here, the number of projects we see it was a little bit at the moment lower at this year, but we hope to getting even there also for the future. Keep on getting new projects here as well. And then we have our tier 0 access. So the amount of compute time that Flanders is getting to compute on Lumi. Here we see also that we have a nice number of projects. 2024 were about 40 projects requested. A little bit lower in 2025, but not all numbers are yet in. Also for the CPU time awarded this year, it's not yet full, but we will be at least at the same level of last year, and we will get the number of GPU hours a lot higher. Comparing these numbers to numbers that we have on tier 1, this amount of GPU time is really it's quite big. So if you're limited on CPU resources also within your tier 1 compute project, please really check out access to the tier 0, because there are systems there. The involvement of VSC with Lumi will be continued, and we will still have access there. So be sure, if you are in need for that, to explore our tier 1 layer as well. Concerning our systems, I just threw some numbers, only talking about the number of cores. It's not presenting the number of flops in any way, but we see that at all sites we have quite a nice amount of compute cores. Depending on site to site, some sites are still needing to renew, some systems are more older than others. This is for us, I'm now speaking for Leuven, specifically for the GPU devices. We do have quite some GPU devices in Leuven, but a large amount of this fraction are the P100s. When they were bought, they were still not so expensive as now, and now we don't have the money to buy so many on the tier 2 level, but we keep on expanding and investing in that. Same also for our file systems, they're also nicely capable. Compared to the number of cores and number of GPUs in Hortense tier 1, you see, of course, this is a big jump what's available there. But there are 3 dots. Hortense is now there already for some years. The first part of Hortense is running on its last legs, but now we have the pleasure to actually announce our new tier 2, and I leave the honors for this to Ward, because it's hosted at Brussels and they are responsible for it. You can,
So good news is we installed in our data center. Bad news is it's not this shape where you can get access to it. No, next slide. So physically completely installed, we have all the hardware. Per usual, always something goes horribly wrong. In this case, it's this box at the bottom there. That's the central cooling unit of the entire supercomputer. So the water, the GPUs and CPUs are directly water cooled. And how that works is it has an internal cooling loop that has to exchange heat with the data center cooling loop. You need a device called a CPU for that. We are still awaiting the CPU. What is in there currently is temporary fix to be good enough to keep us running for another year. I hope it arrives in maybe June. But that doesn't stop us. So all other hardware equipment GPU stays there, it's installed. It is currently undergoing tests. Someone named Kyotis, which was run by NEC, they put in several performance benchmarks based on actual workloads of researchers, and they promised a commitment like how fast it would be based on those numbers they wanted them to. Now they have to prove that they can actually make those numbers. I have no news on that, and we are working in the assumption no news is good news. That should be done by January. End of January. And I hope this should be fine. So to go there.
Yeah, I think you have to. Yeah.
So we'll see the floor being opened and closed multiple times. It's amazing how much effort and time goes to the planning for the supercomputer. And as you can see, we have plenty of space for extensions. So basically, there's now one row. For any future extensions, there will be a second row behind it. If you would like to hear more detail, I'm really sure it's on our LinkedIn. And it will be at the end of the week. So, what do we have? In case you don't already know, it's also the GPU H. We will have 167 H200 GPUs, 8 per node. We'll also have CPUs, but it's a lot less than Hortense. Hortense almost, now phase 1 and 2 almost has 100,000 cores. We're not getting them yet. But core per core, this should be a lot faster. That it's 3 generations newer hardware. The fat nodes, we have fat nodes in the sense that they have no less than 384 cores per node. give you an idea, the first tier 1 we had in the VSC had 16 cores per node. This has fun, because memory doesn't scale as easy as cores would only have 2 gigabytes of memory per core, but to compensate the higher workloads, there's a dedicated section with 8 gigabytes of memory per core. It's all going to be interconnected at 400 gigabytes feed bonds. As said, as I now hope is going to happen, is that we get access to the system beginning of February, so we can actually start making it from a Mac cluster to a VSC cluster. I hope that process goes smooth, because there's a lot of news cycle that goes through. So my ambition is that in March, April, we can launch a pilot. We test anyway, but we might as well test it with daily interaction. We can do a burn test, but it's more interesting if you do something useful with it. So they have workload that actually scale, and we use a multiple of 8 GPUs. Come to us. The plan is the upcoming deadline for the one project is January 26. That will also be on Hortense. The next one is June 1st. There you can submit project for Sofia. The plan is then to submit June 1st by more or less July 1st. You know which projects have been awarded, and the idea is then to start on this mission. As for lunch.
Wow. No. Yeah. So we will be very, very curious to get our hands on and to get users on the system and see how it will be our main tier 1 system for the next number of years. But it's not the only of our levels that keeps on growing. We still keep on investing in the tier 2 level as well, and the tier 2 layer, I think it's very, very important for us, because there are the main number of our users. We have at VB, now before starting with the tier 1, I guess you were already also installing new compute nodes there. So the amount of compute cores available is nicely increasing, and I think, Ward, that you already have now also new HP100 GPU pilots still in pilot. They are not completely available to all users.
Or an engineer come, he did not touch the node, yet the node's broke. Waiting preparation.
Yeah. So and getting replacement stuff from those components is sometimes not easy. We know from experience. In Leuven we did ended the tendering process last year. The nodes will be delivered now short after New Year's, and hopefully also operational for the first users somewhere end March. It's again a nice, we're again stuck with Intel. We're open to Intel and AMD, and somehow at Leuven we always end up with Intel CPUs, which is not bad because we still have the variety within the VSC then. We will have also 3 nodes with 8 NVIDIA B200s, which is nice, but you see this number is not huge. The price is huge, but I think it's not easily to find it somewhere else either, and it's also good that we have this diversity again within the VSC. And together with this, we will also have a new parallel file system installed. And I forget to say also, in Ghent they also deployed a new GPU cluster. So yeah, it's clearly which trend is going. Antwerp has still the fun of having at the moment a tendering procedure ongoing. We see some very, very crazy movements on the market. You already heard on the news as well that some components, specifically memory components, are skyrocketing. So yeah, that will be a very interesting year for our colleagues, I am afraid. But this is on the hardware level. What we wanted to also to highlight a little bit from to the services level is at the moment all our sites have an on-demand portal access, and we see where it's already a bit longer in production that users that it's becoming one of the main ways of accessing the system. we have been installing quite a number of apps. That is just an overview, and maybe we can, if we have some times, Ward can show some nice things that they have deployed at VEB now. But this, we only see the usability of this growing in the future, and doesn't mean that we forget about all the regular SSH access that will always be there, but for entry level, for new users, for having some interfacing with applications, I think this is really useful, and it's here to stay. So let's hope that it remains an open source academic development. And then I wanted also touch upon our tier 1 data a little bit, because some things are maybe not known good enough, and I want to make some advertisements here as well. Getting data to tier 1 data, we all know Globus. I think most of you already are aware that we can use Globus as a transfer tool between the servers, between our HPC systems and other endpoints that you have locally at university. It's always a server-to-server data transport, so if your laptop in between falls out, don't worry, the transfer will continue. If the transfer blocks, it has possibilities to actually resume again. You can set up some syncing, that's good. For tier 1 data, a little bit of disadvantage is there. You cannot upload metadata together with it. So that's something you need to be aware of and take care of at some other moment. Then we have also an SFTP access client, and this is actually a very good use case where in a more almost anonymous-like way that remote devices could directly put data in tier 1 data. They come there in an ingest zone. They will not immediately need to be connected to your project. There are check things and services and possibilities in between to transfer it from an ingest zone later on to actually your project data, but it makes a handy tool to get data from experimental devices into a tier 1 data project. And then next, there has also been development done on Mango Ingest. It's actually like a Python written tool which you can use to automatically upload data from some folders that you have. You can put a number of filters on it to specify, yeah, this type of files I want there, but ignore other files. I don't want them to go there. You can do this ad hoc for once. You can also install this as a monitor on specific drives so that it keeps on adding, if new data arrives, that it also goes to tier 1 data. It has also syncing functionality, so that's also some kind of an additional client that's available, and that can be used very well to actually get data to our larger repository. And if you don't have yet a tier 1 data project and you're interested, you can always request for a tier 1 data starting grant. One thing, of course, tier 1 data always linked to HPC, tier 1 cloud, or tier 2 infrastructure. So it's not storage that you can use on its own. It's always within the context of our HPC infrastructure. Within tier 1 data, there has now also MangoFlow has become completely operational in 2025. It's an Mango iRods, and the middle layer that's actually organizing the storage within tier 1 data. iRods has some rules which you can use, for instance, to extract metadata automatically from files and put in as metadata there. But MangoFlow is its own written code, task-based codes, which runs within tier 1 data, which can do data automations for you. For instance, as I was talking earlier, if you have data in an ingest zone and you want to transfer it to another project, flows can be set up with MangoFlow. Also, if you need to do some more complicated checksuming or verifying of data, that's there as well to to validate data, to extract metadata on the server side, this is possible. MangoFlow will not be accessible by yourself. It's not that you can code it, you just need to reach out to the support team and they will see and help with you to see what's the best way to set it up and what can be set up or what can't set up. So it's important to talk to us for this. But it does have quite some functionality. And then touching a little bit on challenges we see for 2026 is actually this data management is becoming very crucial. We see at our levels that the parallel file systems of the clusters are really filling up. In tier 1 is completely full, our tier 2 system is really struggling. So it's very important that only the active data stays close to the cluster, and therefore to do this properly, and if you have a lot of data, you need to do some metadata. And it is very important because why? Storage is not getting any cheaper. So we know experiments, data set volumes are growing, increasing both in rate and in volume. Our storage with the same money now, we are not buying a lot more petabytes than we did 5 years ago. And it's not that our money is increasing, that's maybe also the problem, but we are grateful for the money that we get, so understand that very well. So we will be still hammering on users and making sure and asking people always, both on tier 1 it will also be done, but also on the tier 2 system of really keep an eye on your data, only keep the data there, the ones that needs to be there. And also cybersecurity in all organizations, companies, also from European directives, it's more important than ever. We already have MFA enforcement, maybe not as uniform everywhere as we would want to have it. It's something that we will work on. If we add additional security measures is because it's really needed. We will always see we are not breaking anything. We're taking into account that you still need to be able to work. But we also be that sometimes the way you work have a little bit impact, and yeah, then we need to see how we can work around or what we can do. So if you're ever bothered with anything of this, just talk to us. We see how to help, but also understand that what we need to do is because we need to do it. Otherwise, we are not following our very high directives, which are very necessary, I think. Okay, and now to the survey. So last year we announced the survey every time around this year, and we're doing it. It's actually now the second time that we did it in a more uniform form. In 2024 we still did a number of changes to the survey to hopefully get a little bit better results. The survey that's now open for 2025 is completely the same as last year, querying about the quality of the different services that we have, the response times, if it's meeting your expectations, what you expect from the service, software installations, clients that are, applications that are available, how is communicated about the operations of the system, how our documentation was, and how it is for you as a new user to start working with it. But it's actually not only this last question. If you still remember how it was for a new user, or you're already an experienced user and you used one of the new services, you still always can comment on this. We had about 413 completed surveys, which was more than in 2023, which is almost 10% of our users that we had in 2024. The respondents came from all the organizations, so of course mainly our universities. It's a little bit, they are the largest group also, and maybe easier to get there as well, but we also got responses from the SOCs, from private companies, some public research institutes, so we hope to still have this number and increase this number this year. what we saw between 2024 and 2023, the numbers more or less were better. We see some red numbers, especially for cloud, but there it's also probably related to the number of changes we asked in the survey, and I will show you later that it looks red here, but it's not immediately to worry too much about it. But what's important for us here is that we actually have the follow-up numbers for the next years. So if you thought, yeah, I already responded to this survey last year, please respond again this year. So that next year we can nicely respond evolution of things, and that we can actually see what you're really thinking about the system, and that we can see if something you think is not going well. So at the tier 1 level, for tier 1 compute, you see the green are people that answered on the different questions of quality, responsiveness, and those things. They say it's very good or it's good. Orange is like, yeah, it's okay-ish. And red, they said, yeah, no, it's not good enough. So overall, colors are good and even where you saw the tier 1 cloud was red, but here it's still green. But the biggest thing is we only had 12 responses last year, and the year before we had 40 responses, of which we do suspect that not all 40 were actually completely using the service. So we added some additional questions to be sure that people actually had experience with the system to actually answer that. Our main, and that's the most important thing for us, there is also for each service the possibility to give some feedback, so give some comments. And on that we can try to react and see if there are any trends that we need to do. And those are for us at least as valuable as actually saying, yes, very good, very good. So please, if you answer the survey, also give some comments. We also had good comments, they are not included here. But for instance, like on tier 1 compute, there's some people said, yeah, response time for software installations are a bit of a problem. I want more GPUs. I need more examples. Maybe you need more support staff to have the faster response on our questions. For tier 1 cloud, it was a clear question to have larger VM flavors. For tier 1 data was, where is the Globus documentation? Can we just not mount tier 1 data? Well, the transfer rates are maybe not always good enough. And then the actions that we're taking with for the tier 1 computer is a new procedure for the installation of softwares, and which already is also actually more sourcing the request a little bit better. Yeah, more support stuff. That's not something that can be easily handled without more funding. For the tier 1 cloud, more large size VMs were added. And then for tier 1 data, the Globus documentation was also now more prominent, clearly available. In some cases where we do think that amount of tier 1 data can be a solution, we have something that can be used. So it's not something that we roll out for everybody because we don't think that's the solution. But for specific cases where this can be handful, it's there. There are also some hardware changes ongoing to make sure that transfer rates from Globus to tier 1 data and to other things or to or from that can hopefully maybe improve or be always stable. And then on our tier 2 layer, we also saw a number of overall questions. I need to watch my time. Most important thing is what we did. Yes, we reacted upon. A lot of them were linked to actually documentations. Documentation had an overall. GPU resources, yeah, we added GPU resources, but probably not as much as you would want, but still it's all we can do. both in Antwerp as in Leuven were some questions of the logins that sometimes were slow. There were different reasons for that. They have more or less resolved. Sometimes the river is some user behavior that goes wild and that we can monitor but not really completely prevent, but overall it should be better. Also in Brussels, I think you notice are added also for an interactive cluster there. In Antwerp also having now also the portal available was also a response to things. And sometimes what we are already doing is following the answers that we were expecting to come, so then it's okay. Sometimes it's something new that appears. Also the website, our main website has changed, updated information specifically for industry, which was not always clear, and that's been taken care of also now this year.
Okay, training, yeah, there are a lot of courses. One of the remarks made about courses is that we offer a lot of courses, and here you have the demand, I think, what was it, 80% or something of the people who follow it are from entire Europe. They're actually open for everybody, and they're all happy. Please follow them. People who follow them are usually very happy with them. There's a whole bunch of new ones. They're all on the VSC website, VSC.training. There's a long list. There's even more. That's just VSC. There's also a link there to the European level. There's a platform, hpcportal.eu at European level, which has a overview of all the trainings in the European Union. There are a lot. Any given topic you want, you should do training in there. A lot of them are also available online. So please have a look. And if you would miss anything, let us know. We can organize trainings on demand. And yeah, the Fortel book is active again online, if you would like to follow that. And it is now, that was given in last November, I think, a specific training on software installations, because we get a lot of requests to install software, more than we actually can handle usually. So we tried, let's go next level, let's teach you how to do it. The training has been given, people were happy. Thinking about it is online, I assume it's also on the VSC websites. The sessions are recorded, so it's also on YouTube. And I guess we're going to do it again next year.
Yeah.
Then, status page. Yeah. Maybe not that well known, but we actually have a status page. If there are issues with our clusters, we normally put it on there. Each university also has another page, but that's only for the tier 2. But VSC-wise, status.vss.be is your friends. And the search function helps. You can go through an LLM if you like, but you can also directly to the search function. Both work usually very well. And lastly, the user survey is running. Please fill it in. Last time I heard we had 200 something already people. 200, Please meet. If you want to get the same number as last year, we need another 200. So please, if you not have already done it, fill it in. You can do it on your phone.